Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin and today we are talking about eyeshadows that are on my current wish list. If you've been following my channel for a while, you know I am trying so hard to adhere to a low buy. So these are palettes that I want, but I'm so far doing a good job resisting. So if that sounds interesting to you, keep on watching. Before we get too far into the video, if you have not already, please consider clicking that subscribe button. I upload on Wednesdays and Sundays. It's totally free to subscribe and I would love to have you here on the channel. All right, let's go ahead and get into the video. I'm gonna scooch over a little bit here so I can insert some pictures. But I actually made this video about 6 months ago, eyeshadows that I currently wanted, and I went back and looked at that video and there's actually only one eyeshadow palette in that video that I don't own now. The rest of them I took advantage of Black Friday sales and bought them all. So I will leave that video linked in the cards if you're interested. But the only palette in that video that I don't now have is the Queen of Hearts palette from Color Brand. So that one is still on my list. Everything else I have. So for these palettes, basically, I'm trying to hold out because I'm trying to do a low buy. And the only reason I would buy any of these palettes is one, if I find out they're being discontinued and it's my last chance to get it, or two, the brand has a decent sale beyond just an affiliate code that gets you 10 to 15 off. Then I would consider it. But for now, I'm just putting these out into the universe as I want these, but I'm not buying them. First up are two palettes from Nomad Cosmetics. Now, one of them you guys already probably know about is their newest Whistler palette. That one is very new, and I do want it, but I'll link the video here where I just did playing with the Nomad Haunted Europe palette and trying to avoid FOMO about the Whistler palette. But I also really want their America's Parks palette. Those swirly shades just look so magical and good to me, so I want both of those palettes. I'm just gonna have to hold off. But I do also have one other palette that has like swirly design in the America's Parks palettes from Nomad, and it's actually the Morphe X Nikita palette. I actually have that right here. So this was another Black Friday purchase. I actually used it for the first time today. It's what I'm wearing on my eyes, but it has a shade in the middle here that reminds me of that swirly business that is in the Nomad brand. And I actually did not use that swirly shade in today's look, so I want to test that out because I feel like however that performs is how the Nomad one will. So I've heard, I think it's Nikki Raven talk about if you get like a teensy tiny little brush, you could use those as two separate colors like the swirly shades, but most of the time you just kind of take your finger and it blends and becomes one shade. But I don't know, it's just something unique that Nomad is doing that I really liked, and so I've got my eyes on those palettes. And the Whistler, you know, it's the Pantone color of the year, Periwinkle. I've got periwinkles, but the duochromes especially are really calling my name. I was telling, I think it was Jordan in the comments on that last video, that I wish they would just release those couple special shades as singles, because I probably could do out without a lot of the mattes and the rest of the stuff in the palette. I could have stuff in my collection that I could dupe out or use that would be similar for that. But it's those special shades that reel me in and get me and make me want to buy the whole palette, because you can't get them individually, at least not from Nomad. So maybe someday Nomad will do singles, but for now, just gonna have to wait for a sale on the palette. So next is from the brand Menagerie. So they have discontinued their ink palette, but they do still sell the singles. So I've been looking every time they do a singles restock, and there's only two shades I need that I haven't been able to get a hold of: Mimic Metallic and Jellyfish Matte. All the other shades I have to make that palette, even though they don't sell the palette, they have a single, so I could still kind of get the palette. And they just did a restock yesterday, I think, the 29th, and I literally had Jellyfish Matte in my cart. Mimic Metallic was already sold out by the time I got there, and by the time I went to check out, it said items in your cart are no longer available. So it sold out that fast, so I was not able to get it because I actually was going to buy it, and I do want it. The other one from Menagerie that I need is the single shade called Whale Song. So last time they had a sale, I think it was at the end of last year, I bought the singles for the Whale Song palette because they said they were discontinuing that palette, but then they just restocked it. So I didn't know they were going to restock it, so I was buying the singles and Whale Song wasn't available, and I thought they were just going to restock the singles, similar to what they did for the ink palette. So the Whale Song palette wasn't available anymore, so I started buying the singles. Well, here to come find out that they did restock the palette, so I could have just gotten the palette and whatever. I'm not going to buy the palette now, but I'm still missing the single shade Whale Song, and it was in stock yesterday. Like, I could have just gotten that, even though I couldn't get Jellyfish Matte or Mimic Metallic, but the shipping was as much as the single shade itself. So I passed on it. Hopefully they restock Whale Song again, because I don't want to buy that whole palette just to get it, and I didn't want to pay shipping for just one shade. So it's a whole thing. At the end of the day, if I don't get any of those, it's like, it's fine, you know, it's not the end of the world. I have other purples, obviously, but I do really want those 3 single shades from Menagerie, and I wish they would have done a better job communicating about what discontinuing means and how many restocks were going to be left of their singles versus their palettes and things like that. And I do wish that when they would restock, stuff wouldn't be gone like that, which I know that they said this last restock they tried and made even more so that wouldn't happen, and it still did. So I think the brand's just going through some growing pains right now and has to figure some of that stuff out with as they're expanding in their popularity and things like that. But if I can get those, I will, but I'm not going to pay $6 for one shadow when that's how much the one shadow costs as far as shipping is concerned. I'll wait and try to get more of them. Game Beauty, there's only one palette that they've come out with that I don't have, and it's the Fantasy palette. I originally skipped it just because the color story I wasn't sure about, but as I've seen more people play with it, I do want to have it. Black Friday, I got the Harbinger and the Victory palette because they were doing a sale, but I've mentioned before they were only doing a sale if you bought 2 palettes or 4 palettes, not 3. I already have their original Adventure palette, so I got 2. I obviously wasn't gonna get 4, I already had one, and they weren't doing a deal on 3, and I didn't want to pay full price for just the 3rd one, so the Fantasy palette is the only one left that I don't have. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm sure at some point I'll get these. They're not like leaving or discontinuing other than those Menagerie single shades at this point that I know of, so I'm not like, I have to get it now. They're just ones that in my mind I'm like, okay, this is on my wish list, like I want to get it eventually and play with those pastel shades from Game Beauty and the Fantasy palette. I'm thinking maybe they'll do like a spring sale, because I think that's how when I got the Adventure palette that they did like a random spring 25% off sale. Maybe they'll do one for Adventure since it's more like pastel type stuff depending on the time of the year. I don't know. I've also had my eye for a while on the Arcana palette from Shroud Cosmetics. Batty Bean put me onto this. Of course, she did her collab with that brand. That's the only palette or product I've ever tried from that brand. It was so good. I've heard the formula's not the same in the Arcana, but the color story is really calling to me, but it was just too expensive to me. You know, I went and looked and they said they had a sale on it, but the sale didn't look like that much of a sale to me for Black Friday, which they did their sale like after Black Friday. So I passed for now. Again, I don't think it's leaving Shroud Cosmetics anytime soon. I want to have it, but I'm just kind of like admiring it from afar right now and not like it's a top priority that I have to have it type thing, but I just love the whole vibe of it too, the theming, everything about it, so that's why it's on my list. 2 more that I've got on my list. One is the Give Me Glow palette from Pastel Dreams. I just tried earlier this week the Juicy Olive. Love the formula so much, and I also got in their sale the Bad Witch and the Christmas Morning palette. I haven't tried those yet, but so far I like the formula, and if those both go well, then that will like solidify my want for the Pastel Dreams palette, because I do really like pastels, especially ones that are good formula and will show up on my fair skin. So I would really like that. I think the only really like pastel palettes that I have right now are the Nomad Tokyo palette and the Laura Lee Los Angeles Candy Skies. And those are both fine, but the Give Me Glow pastel just looks like it offers some things that I don't have in those palettes, so it's on my wish list from them. And then finally, the last palette that is on my wish list right now is from Sigil, and I think you can get this on Etsy, but it is the Chinchilla palette. I think it's called the Dusty Chinchilla palette, and it just looks like duochrome-y, perfect, dusty purple perfectness. And I know my hair is very faded right now, but that's the vibe I've had since, I don't know, June or July, dusty purple. So I really feel like that could be my vibe, that sort of palette. And I love the little chinchilla on it. I don't know why. Hi, Garfield. Garfield says hi, everyone. I've always kind of been interested in chinchillas, just as animals. I don't know why, but they really intrigue me. I remember always going to the pet store and just thinking they're really fascinating creatures. So the fact that it's a chinchilla and it's just like a tiny little curated color story but with duochromes and dusty purples makes me really, really interested in getting it. Are you sleepy? He's purring so loudly you guys probably can't even hear it. Oh, he's so cute with the little heart background. Look, the little orange cat and the orange hearts. Aww, he would do this probably all day, guys, if I would let him. He just likes to cuddle and nap. He's been such a good little addition to our cat family. Oh, he's probably gonna sit on my lap now. So yeah, guys, that is all of the palettes and eyeshadows, singles and palettes that are on my current wish list. I am going to be strong and not buy them right now. I almost caved on the Menagerie, but you know, fate intervened and said, not today, you're supposed to be on a low buy, and was looking out for me with having those go out of stock. So let me know down in the comments below, is there anything that you are pining after as far as eyeshadow is concerned? And let me know if you guys would be interested. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up in kind of like a continuation of this, but with other makeup, because there's definitely other makeup outside of the eyeshadow category that I've got my eye on and have wanted for a while. So I'd be happy to make that if you guys are interested. Just let me know. Once again, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and I hope to see you again on the next one. Bye!